And I'd like now to introduce our first speaker, who is George Nazi, who is from Google. He's VP Telco Media and Entertainment Industry Solutions Lead at Google Cloud. So George, welcome and thank you very much.
Thank you, Annie. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me today at the Telecoms Europe Digital Transformation virtual event. I hope you are all keeping safe and well. I'm George Nazi, and I am the Global Vice President at Google Cloud, leading Telco, Media and Entertainment and Gaming Industry Solutions. I joined Google a year ago, and prior to that, I have had close to 30 years industry experience in senior executive roles at Accenture, Alcatel-Lucent, British Telecom at President and EVP levels, reporting directly to the respective CEOs. Today, I am excited about the opportunity to present to you about how Google Cloud is partnering with the communications service providers to help them transform into digital services companies, especially in the era of COVID and post-COVID, and accelerate their growth. Next slide, please. Before I start my presentation, I want to remind everyone that what I'm going to share with you is Google confidential and proprietary information. It is shared under NDA. Please do not take screenshots or post on social media. Next slide. The topics of today, as we all know, we are living in disruptive times, and the importance of service providers have really come home. They have truly become the information fabric of everything we are doing. So today I want to spend some time with you to cast a spotlight on the communications industry, highlight the challenges and opportunities that the CSPs face, and share with you how Google Cloud is accelerating the CSP transformation. Next slide, please. Let's look at this from the industry perspective, because we're seeing an epic disruption. So where are we today? Communications service providers around the world are facing similar challenges, which have only been amplified by the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's look at the following 5 challenges. Stagnating top-line revenue growth. So even before the pandemic, CSPs have faced stagnating revenue growth. In 2019, the CSP revenue was projected to rise by 1%, which is a decrease from the 3% growth that was achieved the year prior. And while CSPs responded extremely well to the pandemic, research shows 92% of customers say their CSP exceeded expectations in managing the crisis, which has resulted in greater customer trust and relevance, and the demand for the CSP's core product, which is connectivity, increased by 70% in data usage. Unfortunately, they have not been able to translate the usage and demand into revenue. So, and as we look ahead, we continue to see challenging economic conditions, which will place further pressure on the CSPs, and many operators are now expecting revenue underperformance of 2 to 5% compared to the pre-pandemic plans. Second is the increasing CapEx investments to build out future networks without a clear business case for monetization. Now, in a typical operator, a 1% hit in revenue requires 4 to 8% reduction in CapEx to offset this. Let's think about that. Against the backdrop of revenue stagnation are increase in capital expenditures as operators continue upgrading 4G/LTE networks while also rolling out new 5G networks. On 5G alone, network build-out costs are projected to reach $872 billion over the next 10 years. Let's look at the third pillar, the increased network demand. At the same time, amidst the pandemic, all of us have been working, studying, even socializing virtually from home. The result increased pressure on the network. In fact, fixed and mobile operators have experienced as much as 60% more internet traffic than before the outbreak, highlighting the ever-increasing need for resilience and scalability of the network. Fourth pillar, the customer experience is at a breaking point. Now, although 92% say their CSP exceeded expectation in managing COVID-19, CSPs have still historically performed poorly in customer experience. In fact, in the last 5 years, no leading telecommunications, cable, or satellite company in the Americas or Europe has sustained a Net Promoter Score, which is a measure of customer loyalty, above 50, a threshold that indicates a company is beloved. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the NPS scores. Pillar number 5, new ways of working and collaborating. And finally, according to PCG, 40% of employees will utilize remote working models in the future, which will also require CSPs to continue to reinvent how their employees engage and collaborate remotely. Next slide, please. So now that we've covered the industry challenge, let us look at it from a CEO perspective and look at the top challenges facing the communications CEOs. And so in the face of these disruptive headwinds, CEOs and their teams across every part of the CSP organizations are searching for ways to overcome these challenges and are asking the following 5 or 6 questions. How do I create new network-enabled revenue streams? How do I expand, transform, and operate the network to profitably handle explosive usage? How do I cost-effectively delight customers? And how do they want to engage with us? How do I continuously innovate the customer experience? How do I effectively manage my increasing complex systems and processes? And how do I evolve my workforce to thrive with agility, innovation, and collaboration? And below each box that you see in front of you is a potential answer. But then these answers could also be secondary CEO questions. Example, how do I monetize 5G? How do I evolve to SDN and autonomous operations? How do I deliver personalized experiences at scale or stronger customer loyalty? How do I utilize analytics and AI to enhance customer experience? How do I build agility, modernize my IT estate, and make my workforce more productive and innovative? Next slide, please. Now, with disruption and challenges come opportunities. And Google Cloud is hyper-focused on helping CSPs not only transform, but accelerate their growth, competitiveness, and digital journey. And I believe we truly bring a number of unique attributes to our partnerships. Let me list 6 of them. First one is the network and security leadership. Did you know that Google Cloud operates on one of the best connected and fastest networks on the planet? We share the same infrastructure and global network that powers Google products like YouTube, Gmail, and Search. It's one of the largest privately owned networks, and our infrastructure is protected by experts in information, application, and network security. Why is this important, you might ask? Because it helps our customers connect with their end users, no matter where they are in the world. Second one is solutions that support hybrid and multi-cloud strategies. Through Antos, we empower the CSP's developer ecosystems to seamlessly build and scale new applications across any environment, whether it's modernizing core IT systems, running network management functions, or deploying 5G and edge applications. Our multi-cloud and hybrid cloud solutions let CSPs build and run their applications wherever it makes most sense and with no vendor lock-in. Point number 3, open source. Why do we do this? Google Cloud is committed to an environment, to an open environment, and we have used the ethos to build our CSP solutions. As you know, we've invested in Kubernetes and open sourced it, and we are active participants in many of the open source foundations. Point number 4, data leadership. Google is also a leader at storing, processing, and analyzing data at scale. We are leaders in applying machine learning and AI in innovative ways in our customer products. We have tailored our AI and machine learning capabilities to solve real business challenges, such as improving customer care while lowering operational costs. And you may have seen last month at Google I/O, we announced a new breakthrough managed machine learning platform to make machine learning more accessible and useful for developers and businesses. We've also utilized AI to help automate and optimize how we run the network in a lean way. Number 5, expansive ecosystem of partners. We embrace collaboration with partners, from large established and embedded partners to new innovative ones. We have a rich ecosystem of partners that just keeps growing. And finally, best of Google. We leverage Alphabet and Google's assets and capabilities to bring the very best of Google to help CSPs digitally transform. Let's go to the next slide, please. Google is helping CSPs transform in 4 key areas. So in addition to bringing the very best of Google to customers, we are hyper-focused at an industry level and have developed a comprehensive portfolio of CSP-specific solutions to help service providers accelerate their growth. Our solutions are focused on helping CSPs transform in 4 key business areas. First one is monetizing the edge, by extending the edge and unlocking new revenue streams through a jointly built portfolio and marketplace of cross-industry edge solutions. Second is about engaging the customers with data-driven experiences by enabling innovative digital-first customer experiences, driving hyper-personalization and customer lifetime value through privacy-safe customer analytics and revolutionizing customer care. 4 is around the service provider network evolution by modernizing the CSP network and OSS/BSS systems and connecting data under one platform to power automation insights across the business. Finally, about modernizing core systems and workforce. Here we drive for lowering IT total cost of ownership and unlocking productive remote workforces across the businesses. Let's go to the next slide, please. I also want to focus on our ecosystem. At Google Cloud, we recognize that it takes a village to bring about tangible change, and we truly embrace collaboration. Our partners include OSS and BSS vendors, collaboration technology vendors, network equipment providers, global systems integrators, technology vendors, and edge ISV partners. And I'm excited about Google Cloud's commitment to continue to grow our partner ecosystem. In fact, at the end of last year, we announced that we are teaming up with 30+ launch partners and popular industry application providers to deliver more than 200 partner applications at the edge, all on Google Cloud, and all working together to help our CSP customers harness the potential of cloud and 5G. Next slide, please. Thank you for joining me today. I would be very happy to take any questions from the audience. Thank you, and I hope you also enjoy the forum. Please, any questions?
Hello, George. I'm just reappearing, I hope. Yes.
Hi, Annie. Hi, Annie.
George, you outlined very particularly there the 4 areas in which you can help service providers. And I'm just wondering, which of the 4 do you think should have the most emphasis and is the most valuable to service providers?
Annie, to be honest, all 4 are relevant. Let me explain why. When we talk about IT modernization, it's really about unlocking trapped value by moving them from legacy system into cloud capability, so it reduces their cost and enhances the customer experience. When we talk about AI and analytics and contact center AI, it's really about enhancing the customer experience, which also reduces the cost and really brings additional revenue. When we talk about modernizing the network by bringing in the OSS and the BSS vendors and really driving for autonomous networks, it really reduces the cost of the operations, but it also enhances the capability of the network, which brings in additional revenue. And then when we talk about the edge, it's really about monetizing 5G, bringing additional revenue on top of this. So when you really look at these four, we're always working about how do we increase the revenue, how do we reduce the cost, and how do we enhance the customer experience? And really, these four things are the core pillars, which is why we kind of emphasize these four things.
Okay, so the kind of you need the full set. You can't pick and choose.
Yeah, and of course, operators will do them in I mean, I think each operator always thinks about these four things. I myself have been an operator, but I think you do need the four sets. Yeah.
Okay, well, we have questions coming in at a rate of knots now, George. So
okay.
Hold on to your hat. So one question from a delegate is, how much does it cost CSPs to use Google services? Is it free?
That's a big question, because it really depends on the services. Yeah, I mean, it's just, and some services, of course, will require, they will have costs associated. So yeah, not everything's for free, but it depends on the services.
Okay, and please, someone else asks if you could please list a few of the CSPs you're working with, and have you got any case studies that you could highlight? I guess Orange springs to my mind, but
Orange is one, of course. AT&T. I mean, the public ones we've announced is AT&T. We announced TELUS. We announced Vodafone on the data and analytics. We announced Verizon when it comes to the contact center AI. We announced Nokia. Nokia both as a customer and as a partner. We've announced Telecom Italia, Telefonica. So there's a whole slew of CSPs that we've announced, and we have different cases with each that we were addressing. Some multiple across the 4 dimensions, some only 1 dimension. So
okay, so actually with those various operators, George, would it be fair to say that the agreements are still in the fairly early stages?
No, I wouldn't say that. I think we're and on some of them we're fairly deep in some of the products and propositions and the partnership that we've been doing. So I wouldn't say, some are early, but some we've been working together, and the announcements were done early last year as well.
Okay. Another of our attendees asks, how valuable is the telco edge real estate?
It's extremely valuable, and I think it's fundamental in the partnership with the cloud players. You need the telco edge capability. This is why when I talked about the edges, I talked about collaborating together with the CSPs and actually empowering the edge to unlock the value at the enterprise or at the consumer level. So it's extremely important.
Okay. And hang on, I need to absorb this question. Telcos are offering cloud solutions rather than ones that are utilized through Google, AWS, or Azure. I'm not sure if that's true. How do you think there'll be further collaboration between Google and Telco for better alignment and profitability? So the first part is that Telcos' cloud solutions aren't necessarily the ones through what we tend to refer to as hyperscalers. And the second is, do you think there'll be further collaboration between Google and Telco for better alignment and profitability?
Absolutely. Look, I mean, of course, telcos will always have the choice to keep hosted servers, hosted data centers, and creating their own cloud capability. We just believe that it's much more efficient, more secure, brings it at a much lower cost with much more capability if you work with the cloud players, especially Google Cloud. But of course, some telcos probably might want to keep this, for much longer in order to kind of do this. And it doesn't mean that there will not be collaboration. There will always be collaborations with the CSPs. And as I said, they don't have to take all 4 components that I described, but there will always be collaboration with the CSPs.
Okay, we have another question, George, which is how can Google be a real partner to telco systems integrator companies and be a direct vendor to the CSP at the same time?
So it's how can we partner with the system integrators while we're being a vendor to this,
and sell directly to the CSP at the same time?
Sure, because so let's take IT modernization for example. So in the IT modernization example, we provide the underlying platform like Antas on the IT in order to modernize the data, the analytics. System integrators can come in to play with respect to the migration onto the cloud, and many of them have capabilities in order to accelerate and enhance that capability and specialization with respect to the migration onto the cloud. So we can partner with the system integrators in order to do this kind of migration while we're enabling the technology as a vendor to the telcos in order to do this. And there's multiple examples, even on contact center AI or even on network modernizations. You always kind of can do the both of these together.
So is it usually the CSP's choice whether they work directly with you or through a systems integrator, or is it your choice? Or
no, and it's many times the CSP's choice. That becomes and depending on the size of the CSP, depending on the management team, whether they, sometimes they might go to the system integrator and say, bring in a cloud player. Sometimes they come to us and say, bring in a system integrator. Sometimes they just want to go with us and they say, so it depends on what kind of contract terms or whatever. But the flexibility is absolutely there with the CSPs when it comes to these things, and we are flexible when it comes to it.
Okay, and do you think that CSPs are seeing Google Cloud as a partner or a potential threat? I mean, the scale is, between the size of your market cap and scale, there's no comparison between your operator partners and you.
No, we're deliberate in our strategy about partnering with the CSPs, and all the conversations I have had with the CSPs, and I've had hundreds of them. It's all about partnering together with the CSPs, and we're deliberate in this strategy of how do we have an open ecosystem of partners? How do we partner with the CSPs? What is the value proposition to the CSPs clients as we work with the CSPs? And I don't think we've demystified any fear of this conflict. With most of the conversations, all of the conversations I have had, I haven't had this issue come up. And if it comes up, it's a clarification with respect to this strategy and how do we work together.
Okay, and this person is asking more specifically that are the big tech companies, of which obviously you're one, busy working to create their own infrastructure? I mean, I can't see how you're ever going to replicate what the telcos have got.
I think it will be, it's very difficult to replicate the telcos infrastructure. If you think, there's 200 plus countries around the world where you actually need the telco infrastructure in order to provide the capability to the enterprises and the consumers, which is why the strategy is deliberate around partnering with the telcos in order to provide that capabilities. So, I find it very difficult to replicate and to be able to go into every country, try to kind of get the frequencies, try to kind of build the infrastructure. So I find it difficult.
Okay, and how is Google positioned in the telco market regarding market share versus your two biggest rivals, who are Microsoft Azure and AWS? And why would a customer select Google as a partner rather than the others, presumably? And is the experience on mobile the main added value?
So on the first one, I apologize, I don't have the answer.
Okay, so
yeah, I don't have the answer to the
know
first
about
one.
the market share.
Yes, I don't have the answer to that one. So we can look at that separately and respond to that. On the second one was
and the second one is, why would customers select Google as opposed
yes,
to anybody else as a
yes. First of all, again, our strategy is a deliberate multi-cloud strategy without any lock-in. So with Anthos, we're really building a platform that allows you to be a multi-cloud Anthos platform that can run on any infrastructure, any other cloud player. Two, we have a very strong open source heritage and a legacy. Three is our differentiation is around our AI leadership, data and analytics. Four is around the scale of the core of the cloud and the network, as I described earlier. Five is, as I said, is the wealth of the ecosystem of partners, and I would say six is the alphabet capability that we can pull in and bring to the CSP as part of the solutions that they want to provide to their clients. So I would say these are the six differentiators as opposed to anybody else that we feel very confident that we can provide these kind of differentiation.
Okay. Another question, is Open RAN to be available in Google Cloud Edge?
Look, we will make announcements at Next around some very interesting product launches. Open RAN is something that we do embrace. So just stay tuned on that one.
Okay, so that was a definitely maybe. Okay, how could Google help telcos to inform or demonstrate cloud opportunities to their customers? Is that something new?
Sorry, repeat the question.
How can Google Cloud help telcos to demonstrate or educate their customers about cloud? So
by partnering, so I'll use one example. So by partnering with the telcos, let's talk about some go-to-market approaches, especially when it comes to the edge and different verticals that the telcos want to enable, whether it's healthcare, whether it's financial services, whether it's agriculture. We team together, we create these use cases and the capabilities behind these verticals. This is why in Google Cloud, we've also created the separate industries to bring in that wealth of, let's say, the retail industry on top of the edge, working with the telcos in order to provide it to the clients. And this is exactly what we do with the telcos in order to enable all of these industries and their clients. So we definitely work with the telcos directly in order to help them enable the other enterprises. Sometimes we actually, working with the enterprises, we bring the telcos in as well. And these conversations are all active.
Do you do things like proof of concepts with telcos for customers, and demonstrations, and do you work as well with the telco's customer, sort of collaborate, co-create?
Yeah, so on the first answer, it's a definite yes around the proof of concepts that we do with the telcos, whether it's around the contact center AI, whether it's around the edge capability that we do. Two is we also work with the telcos and the telcos client, the enterprises. Some are announced in order to kind of drive that co-creation that sits on top of the edge and the capability in order to provide for that client based on the industry that they are in. So it's a yes to both answers.
Okay, and does Google Cloud typically pay for space in telco partners' data centers?
That really depends on the telco and the commercial arrangement that we have with the telco. So each telco, it's specific to the telco and the conversations we have with the telco.
So this approach to the telecoms sector, it sounds, George, like each contract or agreement you have with the telco, it very much on a case-by-case basis, it sounds
So,
like.
well, first of all, we do have SKUs for the products that we sell to the telcos, but each telco has, you know, remember with Edge, there's still a lot of flexibility with respect to the telcos on how do they want to enable the Edge. Do they want to enable the Edge in the Google POPs? Do they want to enable the Edge in the telco POP? Do they want to enable the Edge on the enterprise side? So there has to be that flexibility with respect to the model that the telco wants and what is it they are really proposing and the value add that they are adding that really drives some of these conversations and the flexibility. So there are standard products, but there are certain agreements and arrangements that would be, you know, contract specific to the telcos.
Okay, and Gaia-X is an emerging European initiative around data and federated services in cloud. How will Gaia-X, how will that influence Google Cloud strategies in Europe?
We are working, you know, with all the telcos. We are working with the telcos in Europe. There is a whole team that's really working and you know, collaborating with the telcos, with the countries in order to kind of provide the right solutions based on the requirements. So I think this is you know, work in progress that's taking place with the cloud players.
Okay, are you going to be involved with Gaia-X? Are you allowed to be involved?
To be honest, I don't know. So that would be a question I will have to deflect.
Okay. And finally, because we're out of time, I'm sorry to say, could you give some examples of B2B services that may be suitable for an edge service?
Yeah, I mean, let's you know, we could use, you know, agriculture or healthcare or financial services, and you know, with each of these industries, we already have solutions. Like, you know, with retail, you know, we provide you know, virtual reality based on AI in order to kind of provide the capability in the retail store that requires an edge in order to be able to provide that capability. Some of these B2B solutions might require the edge to be very close to the enterprise based on latency. Some of them might not need as much latency, and they're able to use it all the way from the Google Cloud. So depending on the use case and the scenario and the latency or requirements or the different requirements of the application, we have a very flexible edge in order to provide that solution. So we have quite a few of them.
Well, George, I'm sorry to say our time is up, but I'd like to thank you very much for such an interesting presentation and for fielding so many questions. Clearly, this is a topic of great interest. Many thanks indeed.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you very much, everyone. And please enjoy the rest of the forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you.